in our series of discussions, where in the last part we talked about the Bernoulli equation, which was obtained by applying a force balance on a control volume in a two-dimensional flow along the streamwise direction and in the perpendicular normal direction. So once we obtain that for the two directions along S cap and N cap, we can write the Bernoulli equation in a differential form as in this manner, and if we integrate this along a streamline, we get the Bernoulli equation as P plus half rho V squared plus rho G times Z equals to a constant along a given streamline. Okay, and the assumptions that go behind this derivation were that it is a steady flow, it is an incompressible flow, and it's an inviscid flow. Okay, we made that assumption. So today we are going to use the Bernoulli equation and try to understand concepts about pressure, which will allow us to devise measurement techniques that can be used for calculating the flow velocity. Okay, so moving on. I just want to bring the focus into only the Bernoulli equation, and that the derivation is behind us now. We will just assume that we understand the derivation. Okay. So here we are. We have the Bernoulli equation, which is P plus half rho V squared plus rho Gc equals to a constant along a streamline. Okay, and the assumptions that go with the Bernoulli equation are something that you should constantly remind yourself, which is that it is a steady flow, it is an incompressible flow, and it is an inviscid flow where the shear stress is 0. Steady, incompressible, inviscid. Okay, so we have this pressure plus half rho V squared plus rho Gz equals to a constant. Now you know about pressure. We talked about pressure in the first video, in the first module. Pressure is a compressive stress that is always normal or perpendicular, always normal to a surface. We saw this previously. Okay. Now, if you think of P arises, the pressure arises due to constant impingement or bombardment of fluid molecules on a surface or a wall. It arises due to constant impingement of fluid molecules on a surface or a wall. What we mean is, if we take a bowl of water or fluid, we have the fluid here. If you take any particular point, in that particular point, if I blow it up and draw as a volume, I have molecules constantly moving around. Okay, something like this. And if I put an arbitrary surface here, this surface experiences an impingement due to these molecules from all sides, and that's what we feel as pressure. Okay, so this pressure arises from the molecular motion of the gas molecule. Okay, so we taught that the pressure is a force normalized over area, and it has units of Newton per meter squared or Pascal in the SI system, and it is pounds force, I'm sorry, not bond force, PSI, PSI in the English engineering unit system. Okay. Now if you look at the second two terms, they also are added to pressure, which means they must have the same dimensions as pressure. They both have the same dimensions as pressure, these two. So they are also some kind of pressure, we can say. This is pressure that you know of. If you put your finger into a fluid, it's the force per unit area that you feel. That's what we call as pressure. The second two terms are also related to the pressure, and we'll see what they are. So P is the pressure due to the random motion of fluid molecules. This is what we discussed earlier. It's due to the random motion of fluid molecules. The net velocity of the molecules adds up to zero approximately. What that means is the molecules are moving, but the fluid ain't going anywhere. The molecules are all randomly moving around, but the fluid is not moving itself, and that's the reason why we call this fluid as being static. Okay, the fluid itself is static. The whole collection of the molecules is static, but the molecules are always randomly jostling around with velocities that add up to zero approximately. So as a result, the pressure exerted by a fluid at rest, or the pressure exerted by the molecules due to their random motion, is called static pressure. It is not related to the motion of the fluid, it's related to the molecules moving around with random molecular velocities, and for that reason P is called the static pressure. The same things that I said earlier apply. P is static pressure is a compressive stress, always normal to a surface. So P is called static pressure. P is called static pressure. Okay. Now, if you look at the second term, this half rho v squared, and let's check the dimension of the second term. If you check its dimensions, that is the dimension of density times the dimension of velocity squared multiplied by half, or the dimension of half, which is simply a pure number. Okay, so you have mass length to the minus 3, and then velocity is lt power minus 1 the whole squared. So you have m l to the minus 1 t to the minus 1. Now if you check the dimensions of pressure, pressure is force per area, which is mass times acceleration over area. So this is m l squared, m times lt to the minus 2 divided by l squared, or this is m l to the minus 1 t to the minus 2, and I think I made a mistake here. This is t to the minus 1 squared, so this is t to the minus 2. So these both have the same dimensions, which means half rho v squared is also some kind of a pressure, Okay, and we'll see what that kind is. So if you have a flow, okay, I'm going to erase this part where we discuss the dimensions. If you think of a flow, okay, let's say you think of a flow, these are the streamlines, okay, and you take any particular point here, P, and let's say the velocity at that point is V, okay. If you just focus on the fluid that is at that point P, I'm going to blow up this point and draw that as a volume. I'm going to magnify it and draw that as a volume. I do know that locally all the fluid molecules must be moving with a velocity v. Okay, that is, if I take each molecule, it has a velocity v. It also has a molecular velocity that is random vr. If I take any other molecule, it has a velocity v and it has a random velocity vr. If I take any other molecule, all the molecules have, let's say, two parts. One part is equal to the bulk component, or whatever you see macroscopically, on a length scale that is big enough, and then one that is microscopic, that is similar to the random motion of the molecule. So each fluid molecule has like a bulk component plus a random component. That is at this each molecule has a bulk component and a random component. So I'll relabel this and write it correctly. This should be bulk, this should be bulk, and this should be bulk, and this should be random, random, random. So there is a bulk component and the random component. So if I take the average velocity at that point, if I take the average velocity of all the molecules at that point P, okay, what I get is, I get the average of the bulk component plus the average of the random component. Average of the random component. Now, if you just think of these vectors without the bulk component added to every molecule, they all roughly add up to 0. It is like you have the fluid at that point at rest, and then you impose a systematic velocity on each molecule so that they all move together from point to point along the flow that you see macroscopically. So if I do this summation, this is simply the bulk velocity at that point plus the average velocity of all the random components is approximately 0. So if I think about half rho v squared, and this rho is really the magnitude of the bulk velocity, okay, this half rho v squared can be interpreted as the momentum that these molecules exchange because of their macroscopic motion or bulk motion or systematic motion. Just like P was due to molecular motion, random motion of fluid molecules, V or half rho v squared is the pressure due to the bulk or macroscopic or systematic motion of the fluid. I'll say fluid, where the word fluid stands for squared is the pressure due to the bulk or macroscopic motion. So half rho v squared arises, if I have to write a similar statement to this, it's because the molecules are moving with a speed v bulk or v or simply v, and because it's related to their motion or their dynamics, which is change, this half rho v squared is called the dynamic pressure. This half rho v squared is called the dynamic pressure. So we saw what is the first term, static pressure. Okay, the first term is static pressure. Second term is dynamic pressure. Second term is dynamic pressure. Okay, and then we are going to see what the third term is. Okay, the third term, if you recall, when we did the variation of pressure in a static fluid, we wrote dP over dZ is minus rho g, and that gave us P equals P naught minus rho g delta z. Depending on the sign of z, this can be positive or negative, depending on whether you're going down or going up. So rho gz itself is a component due to the weight of the fluid that is above a certain level. So it's called the hydrostatic pressure. It arises due to the weight of the fluid that is above a certain level, and so it is called the hydrostatic pressure. They all are the same quantity. They are all parts of pressure that come due to the fluid molecules or the motion of the fluid molecules, bulk motion of the fluid, and then the pressure that is due to the variation in height. And what we say is that their sum, P plus half rho v squared plus rho gz, is a constant along a given streamline. So if we are talking about the value of C takes, let's say, a value C1 along this streamline. It may take a different value along this streamline and a different value along the third streamline. And through problems we'll see how to evaluate C if needed, or how to use this equation to solve practical problems, which include solving for either pressure or for the velocity. Okay, so we have, I'm going to erase this. We have P plus half rho v squared plus rho gz equals constant. Going to continue using or continue discussing concepts of static, dynamic and hydrostatic pressure, and see how we can turn this into a way to measure velocity. Okay, that will be the next part.